trigger finger itchy on the intro there. I'm so sorry about that. Everybody, welcome back to Football United TV. And we are on the open mic talk tonight. Well done to Charlotte earlier for hosting Charles' Classic Corner as well with Prime. Saluting you, saluting the gods. Here tonight we've got Charlotte. Football man Sam is back in the house as well. Thank you so much for being back, mate. And Mike, how are you doing, mate? I love the picture, like I said to you before, mate.
I've been missing, man. I went missing for a minute. I'm back now, though. I'm back now. People are in trouble. You people are in trouble.
Best beware. You best beware. So what we're going to talk about right now, the headline pretty much says it. Should football players be allowed to celebrate as they always have done? I mean, do you agree with this? The fact that they're trying to change the protocol and trying to say to players, look, you maybe a fist bump at the end. It takes away the passion in scoring a goal. If you see your fellow player who scored a goal run away from the goal, surely your first instinct is to follow them and celebrate. It's a natural thing. Let's start with you, football man Sam, mate. Do you think it's a good thing or do you think it's a bad?
No, I completely disagree. I think it'd take away all passion from the game. So if you're talking, for example, the Liverpool-Man United game, if someone scores a 90th minute winner to make it 1-0, completely disagree. I think it would just take all passion away from it. It's a massive game. It's a massive derby, top of the league clash. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. They're tackling each other for 90 minutes on the pitch. Celebrating is going to do nothing.
Would you agree with that, Mike? Like, do you think, like, would you exactly what's that football man Sam said there? Would you go on that?
Yeah, 100%. I think I think everything Sam just said is fact. Well, it's not factual, but I think when you're talking about football players, you're talking about emotion and you're dealing with people's emotions. I don't think you can monitor that, especially when it comes to passion of celebrating a goal. For me, it's as simple as this, man. I'm gonna put it this way: if football players cannot celebrate scoring a goal, they should not literally be playing football. It's that simple. Like, why? Because what are you guys actually doing in the dressing room? You know, like how close are you in the dressing room? What's going on? Like, what are the things that we actually can't see behind closed doors? So you can't just make these rules up for the face value of it just because the public see it. You know, if you're going to realistically look at it, players should be allowed to celebrate. I mean, players should be allowed to continue to do their job as safely as possible, of course, but just in the same manner, because why would you stop it? If you're going to carry on like that, just stop football in general.
Do you agree with that, Charlotte?
Yes and no. I agree with the fact that like it's the only part, like the one part of football that like brings the old school football that we used to have with the fans, where you see players celebrate. But then it's not safe, like Mike said about like players being safe, but they're not being safe on the outside. So how can you keep them safe on the in a stadium? Like, if they're not going to respect the fact that people look up to them and actually respect them and actually need them to take control and show maturity and step up to the plate and be a role model, then yeah, football should be cancelled right now. Because if your players, the people that should be role models, and I'm not saying every player's doing it, but there are certain players that are being like having parties, doing all this and like going out and being stupid, and it's all over social media, but then they're still playing. But that's where I have an issue with the celebrations. It's not the whole celebration itself, but actually the minority of players that aren't taking responsibility and keeping everybody safe. Now, if all the players were keeping people safe, I say, yeah, this is great. Like, let's do this. But the more players, like, how many coronavirus breakouts have we had? Like, how many matches have we had postponed in the last 3 weeks? Like, the stats speak for themselves. Like, how long can we go on before we have to kind of say we're not going to play football until you all start to actually take this seriously? Because if you take something away from them, because I don't think money is a thing for them like anymore, and I think if you take away what they love, like, that might be a wake-up call to them. And I'm not saying it's everybody, I'm really not, but the minority are spoiling it for the rest of A, the fans, and B, the rest of the football players, and it's not fair.
Why do you think, football man Sam, like, talking on what Charlotte was saying there, why do you think that they want to keep it going? I mean, we're talking about health. I mean, it does affect mental health as well, and a lot of people have been saying the fact that it's kept people going watching sports on TV. Do you know what I mean? If there is anything to do, it's the only thing you can do at the moment. So taking that away from people could affect people sticking to the rules.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I'm in a bit of a predicament because I do agree that it's maybe not the most important thing, but on the other hand, the times we're in at the moment, and especially for the people that live on their own who haven't got any company, I think it's vital for, like you said, for your mental health. So I've personally suffered from mental health, and one way of getting out of things is doing something you enjoy or watching something that you enjoy. It takes away the matters of life for a whole 90 minutes. All they're focused on is that one game. And if that could save someone from anything, it could be life-changing for some people, as silly as it sounds. It really can.
Yeah, Mike, well, what was you going to say there? I know you turned off mute straight away. I know you wanted to come in there.
No, I actually just anticipated like having more to say, but Sam covered it, man. You know, it does help with people for different reasons. So yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I do agree, but I do listen to everybody's opinions on it and try and get to some sort of conclusion. And I know there's a little bit of scaremongering going on from people with like conspiracies and all that about the jabs and everything else. I mean, what do you guys make of this? I mean, I know Guardiola said it was Guardiola, yeah, who said about the fact is everybody gets tested every single time. They're in their own bubble, the players, like, so that they don't really go out and do anything. But then Charlotte says, like, you hear about these reports of players going and breaking COVID and not really getting the penalty, which what most people do. I mean, 2 women, I think it was, wasn't it? They went out for a walk with a couple of coffees and they got fined 400 quid each or something like that, or maybe 400, but I'm not going to.
But I think you kind of have to blame the government then. Like, you can't be. The problem I have, like, with the government is the government doesn't want to take away anyone's human rights, but they want you, when they say something, they want you to stick to it. Like, the problem is if you made it illegal, people would stick to it. But because it's just, please try and stick to this, people don't give, like, they don't care. Like, people have had enough. This is the 3rd lockdown, and a lot of people I know that have had enough of it. And I understand that, but, like, you've got to choose. Like, the longer you mess about and start, like, if you break these rules, the longer you take to, like, not take this seriously, the longer we're going to be in lockdown for, and the longer this is going to be dragged on for. Whereas I believe that if we'd have done this in between, so from the beginning of October to the end of November, I believe if we'd have done a straight tier 4 lockdown, made shit illegal, made shit like you can't do this, it's finable, or all this, and we'd had a strict one, I think we'd be fine now. And I don't think we'd be in the position that we have now. But because our government's too wishy-washy and decided that, like, Boris, I don't know if I'm coming or going with the man. He doesn't look like he knows how to brush his hair. So how's he going to know how to run our country? Like, like he doesn't make sense when he speaks on these like live announcements. He doesn't look like he's making any sense. He looks like, well, I'm just going to pass this on. Like, no, mate, no, like, man up. This is your prime minister of this country. Take control and do what you've got to do. Don't just sit there and be like, yes, we've got to all try to be like work together, but lay down some laws, like make it more serious, make fines, like stick to these fines, put police down, because the longer this goes on, the stricter this is going to get. And like, rumor has it is the army is going to come in next, and like it like, I don't really know, like, it's when it's going to end. If people just actually listened, we wouldn't be in this predicament. But it's because no one's listening, and people are saying, oh, the vaccine's come out, it's not that serious anymore. But it is, because people haven't had the vaccine yet. Not all these people have had this vaccine. So how you can say that it's not serious is beyond me.
Would you agree with that, Mike? I know you was trying to get in on that a minute ago.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think the government do have to take responsibility, to be fair, Matt. I think the government have to take responsibility. for some of these players breaking the rules because they've not been strict enough. But on the other side of things, in terms of what the club is doing, I guess the club have, their restrictions or their rules in place. I'm sure, the clubs, like players have like got things in their contracts, like, if they miss training, they get fined. If they do X, Y, and Z, they get fined. So I'm sure breaking COVID rules will also, fall under the category of like antisocial behavior within specific circumstances. So I'm sure the clubs do have, things in place to restrict the players from, breaking COVID rules. But one thing you can't, take for granted is that players literally, you can't control everybody. Like players are individuals, so if they do decide to break COVID rules, that there's nothing literally that you can do about it.
I'm looking at the Arsenal game. Sorry, mate. It's
No,
still 0.
Yeah.
Close though.
No, I agree with what Mike says though. Like, is so true. Like, or like, there is so much responsibility. Yes, a lot of it falls to the government, but people have to take personal responsibility too for the choices they make. Like, you can say the government's not done enough and not made it strict enough. That's factual information. But you can also say there are people that don't give a shit and aren't taking it this seriously, like, and that don't care.
Well, yeah, Charlotte, going on to that, maybe reflect on it with Football Man Sam. Marine, a lot of their fans were standing outside of the gates, weren't they? Like trying to get pictures and whatever. I mean, what should we all make of that? I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you're hosting such a big event. People, yeah, but I know, Charlotte. Look, people don't. They're like, sod it, I'm going to go. Like,
that's not my issue. My issue is with the police who said, "Oh, they were all social distancing." Nah, come on, you're having a laugh. They weren't fucking social distancing. If they're fucking social distancing, I'm Jesus and I can part water and I can't do any of that. No. That's the issue I have.
It looked more like an AC/DC crowd. Yeah, I do agree.
Like, you can't have police who are supposed to be enforcing the law telling you that people are social distancing when there is visual images, like photographs, like things I can see with my eyes that show they're not. Like, that's the issue I have. You've got law enforcement messing you, like trying to pretend like that everything's all hunky-dory, and this is the issue you have. You can't have law enforcement saying it's social distancing when there's photos. Like, that's a definite like mug off.
Yeah. You guys agree with that?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on in terms of individuals taking responsibility for themselves.
Yeah.
If they really want to crack down on it, then they need to bring in heftier punishments for the players who are breaking these rules. So whether that's a 3-game, 4-game ban, it sounds harsh, but it's, how else are they going to learn? And it could be a crucial player for a team, for all you know.
And take away their pay as well for those 3 or 4 games.
Absolutely.
I agree with the people. It's harsh, though. It's harsh.
Little bit,
but there's players that aren't learning. So how Mike, how would you like actually get them to see that this is wrong if they keep on doing it? And there are certain players that have done it on more than one occasion. Like, how do you stop this? Like, because they're role models to like young influential people. So how would you stop it?
No, that's a fair question. I'm glad I'm not in charge of, the one who's tasked with finding out how to stop it. So I think, yes, it's a fair question, Charlotte. But like I say, your suggestion of potentially looking at banning them for games rather than taking away or, making like fines of up to 1,000, which, let's be honest, for Premier League player, that's not even a scratch of their salary. So they could break the rules. Like, that's like almost tempting them to break the rules 4, 5, 6 times if they wanted, with some of the fines that are in place at the moment. So if they do end up like, missing games and it costs their team and it costs, the fans and stuff like that, I think that would make them think twice. So I think it's a potential solution you've said there, to be honest, Charlotte, I would say.
But there is also one way that I also thought like of another way that you could get them. And that's, instead of just punishing them, punish the team. Because if you're punishing not just you, if your punishment doesn't just affect you, you're less likely to do it. Whereas if you were to say, like, if you break COVID rules, you lose like 3 points. And what Man City would be on probably not what they're on right now, because they've had like 4 players break the rules. So, I mean, if you threaten with points, then maybe it will make them be like, oh, you know what, actually, this is not just going to affect me, it's going to affect my team. And their team means everything to them, apparently. So that might be a wake-up call. I'm not saying it's the best solution, but it maybe thousands of pounds to them means nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't. So maybe if you affect the points of their team and where their team stands in the Premier League, because if they break the rules and people know it is in the team are going to rip the shit out of them. And maybe that'll be an incentive not to do it. I don't know. Because it is hard to say, like, what to do.
We've got Indiana coming in on the stream right now to give his opinion. Indiana, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. Sorry, I was I watched some of the Arsenal game and I genuinely fell asleep.
Yeah, I just
Actually, I'm not even bantering. I actually, it was that boring. I fell asleep. I never fall asleep that early.
I agree. It was just that last moment from Crystal Palace that really got me, flinching a little bit for a good. So Indiana, like we were talking about, basically, and I think we all kind of agree that football maybe should be stopped. And what do you make of the fact that the celebration thing has come up into the media talk, and it looks like the Premier League chiefs might try and stop the celebration thing. I know some teams have already tried doing it in some games, and then the opposition score a goal, and they're all hugging like New Year's Eve. What do you make of it, mate, in your perspective?
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because I think there's so much money involved. That's the only reason why they've kept it going. But we've seen a lot of things, haven't we? I mean, even I remember watching the women's Manchester derby. I remember the Man City keeper. She spat on her hands, kicked the ball out, picked the ball up, spat on her hands, picked the ball up, and kicked the ball out. And I think, like, there are definitely things that footballers could stop doing. Can you stop them celebrating in the moment? I mean, we've got Liverpool on the weekend on Sunday. I think whoever wins that game, they score that winning goal, 90th minute, they're celebrating. It's a tough one because it's such a. I mean, when do fully grown men really like run off and hug each other? Like, how often does this happen? Like, do you know what I mean? It's something that happens. I think in the moment, I think it's a tough thing to do to stop that. Should they stop the league? If they can't control it, yes, they should. Will they stop the league? I doubt it very much. I doubt. There's too much money involved.
Agreed, Indiana. Agreed completely. We got Laurie and Big Gunner in the house as well.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
I'm all right, man. How are you doing today?
We're good.
I just watched the worst game of football I've ever watched in my life. Oh my days,
They could have done with Roy Keane, didn't it?
mate. Literally, I don't know. We needed extra time.
Extra time
And penalties. I mean,
and Palace will have 4 red cards or something. Do you know what I mean?
Listen, it was just so bad. Wow. Crazy. How's everyone doing?
Good man. I genuinely fell asleep the second half of that game.
Mate, honestly, oh gosh, wow.
That's why I started to vlog at 9:30. Big Gunner,
literally, I was on a watch along, and like it was the first time they've done a watch along, and they're like, yeah, we're never doing one again. Yeah, definitely.
Wow, that sounds bad.
Yeah, it was so like the match was so bad. Like we started watching Real Madrid halfway through. It's just like it's so bad.
Well, we are going to get on to the game and another topic about whether Man United should be considered title contenders. But talking on what we were talking about, the fact that the celebration thing and the fact that the Premier League want to change that, and they don't want people to celebrate goals as much as possible. Do you agree with this being an actual law that they're bringing in, or do you think differently?
They either stop football or they just live with it. Like, you got two options. Like if you're telling people to not celebrate with each other, like just the passion that happens in football, you just forget. You can see people clearly forget now that they're not supposed to be near each other, even when they're walking off the pitch and they go to speak to someone. They just completely forget. When people go to swap shirts or whatever, they forget they can't do that, innit? So it's just, I just think they should just stop it. Like, to be honest, right now, it's just too many cases right now. But I think I just caught the end of what Indiana was saying. It's just too much money involved for them to stop, and that's literally the only reason why they haven't stopped it. And that's it.
Would you agree with that, mate?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm one of the people that have been saying, yes, I get why everyone wants football to carry on and whatnot, but the cases and the amount of games that keep getting postponed, all of that racking up, it does need at least a few weeks break.
Yeah.
And the fact that they cut, who was it that Brazil got cut off today, innit? And now they're saying they're going to cut off Portugal from coming into the country. So doesn't it just make sense, even if it's a few weeks? Yes, you're going to lose millions of pounds, but it's getting to the stage where I don't know what's more important to them, money or safety. And it looks like money, which is, as they say, the root of all evil, seems to be the most important thing to them at the moment.
It will always be money.
The only reason why they're rushing it is because, remember, the Euros are supposed to take place this year, isn't it? So they're trying to rush it to so there's no sort of overlap. But we're going to have teams playing 4 games behind. Teams are going to be 4 games behind. So it's just...
And they've even said that they're going to still do the Tokyo Olympics. And apparently Tokyo's another country that's not safe. So I don't know. It's just getting crazy out here.
But I think you've had that issue for a while now where I personally feel like when it got that bad that we should have just cut all border ties. And I know that sounds horrible, but I meant for holidays and people, because you've got all these people that have millions of followers that are all in Dubai at the minute. Like, that's not setting a good example. That to me is not setting a good example. You need people that are gonna say, you know what, this is silly, because they're saying it's for work. You can get paid to stand in your house and get paid for an outfit. You don't need to go to Dubai to get paid for an outfit, hun. That's not how it works. That's all you're doing. It's not worth it. And I think it's really they don't help it. And you've got all these influencers saying that they're not going to have the injection. That's also a massive issue, because you're influencing these young people who follow you to say, no, I don't want this jab. And you're giving them your opinions. So firstly, you're flying away saying, yeah, it's okay. Just to clarify, an aeroplane is probably one of the most easiest ways. Yeah, it's to catch COVID, because it is just air conditioning the air going round and round in a circle. And if it's going to Dubai, it's 8 hours? I don't know. My maths isn't that great, and I don't know how far it is, so don't hold me to that. But that's a long time to be stuck in a plane with loads of people that are breathing the same air as you. That's how you catch COVID. I think if the government had just said, you know what, we're cutting ties with all borders, no one's coming in until after this lockdown, I think we would have been in a better place. But the government hasn't really stepped up a little bit. I'm not saying in every way, but I feel like it's not strict enough, because you've still got people now when we're in tier 4 going away. How is that strict? And you've got people, and you've got airplanes allowing it, because airplanes, all these airplane brands, want the money because they've been stopped for so long.
Big up Amrasco Twitch TV. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for the V's as well. If you want to come on, the link is in the description. Yeah, guys, would you agree with Charlotte on that? Look, I think it should be stopped, but I think I agree with everybody completely. The fact that the money talks, doesn't it? And I think that's the reason why the whole Rashford thing has been sort of disturbed a little bit as well now. The whole giving the £30 allowance that they gave the kids, which was what, a couple of carrots, a couple of potatoes, some other old crap. Like
Oh yeah, that was so bad.
it wasn't £30 worth. It just it's all about money in it. It's all about squeezing out as much as you can out of a penny, isn't it?
Yeah, and look who stood up for them, Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford was the one that called it out, like that retweeted it, made sure that everyone bloody saw it. Like he's been calling people out from day one since since lockdown about these free school meals. Like he's the reason this has been allowed, and now he's the reason that he's calling people out. Like I have nothing but respect for him, even though he's a Man U player. Like nothing but respect for what he's done. But if it takes for a footballer to call out the government on this, that says something to me. That says it's all about money and nothing about caring about kids that actually need food. And that's so sad that in the 21st century, all we can think about is money instead of young kids relying on these food packages to get fed.
Would you agree with that, Mike? Like, do you think Rashford's should still poke at the government, or do you think they're just playing mind tricks with him and making him seem like he's getting somewhere with what he's trying to do, and then just sort of blocking him off at the end?
If I'm being honest, man, honestly, like looking at the whole entire situation, I think Marcus Rashford just needs to continue doing the good work that he's doing, because that's exactly what he's doing. If you take out, rivalry from everything, like he's doing a incredible job. So in my opinion, bro, like I think Marcus Rashford just needs to continue doing what he's doing and block out the noise, man. I don't think he should get involved or like look at the tit for tat with the government, or if the government are trying to do trying to play games with him or trying to like have ulterior motives. I think at the end of the day, we need to remember, even as fans, when we're speaking about these subjects, they are quite sensitive, and there are disadvantaged kids at the other end of this. So you've got to remember that. So in my opinion, I think Marcus Rashford, he's doing an incredible job, and people who need his help and need the support are benefiting from it. So he needs to focus on that and not worry about the government, because obviously the government aren't doing enough. And that's my opinion, Matt.
I completely agree with that. Would you agree with that, Laurie? Do you think that he's just got to keep poking that prod at the government and saying, look, you need to sort it out? I've been in the same situation. I know how these kids are being affected by this, and you're just taking them for mugs.
I mean, what happened in the last one was the fact that he's got the support out there is a good thing as well. As you said, it's brought all the neutrals together. And what happened in the last half term, where a lot of the local businesses were like, no, we'll do our bit as well. Things like that, if they carry on, then eventually the government is going to have to cave in and accept that the children are more important. Because, again, he's an idol to so much people, and it's not just on the football pitch, off the pitch as well. And like you said, the fact that he's been in the same situation himself, so he can relate. He's very humble.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm gonna bring his ass back. I love that.
Money, Mike. Mute your mic, Mike.
Yeah, he's like
I'm really
sorry, I don't know what that was.
cool, man. Carry on there, Laurie.
No, I was just saying, like, as a parent myself, I'm not exactly in the situation, but I can see, I've seen around me. What's going on? Sorry, are you watching Top Boy or something? I don't know.
No, I thought it sounded a bit like he was watching porn or something. Man. I don't know. It sounded a bit mad.
Oh
You
my
called him
God.
out, big gunner, man. So going back to what, I mean, I've got a son and I've got daughters as well, and their livelihood is just shattered by what's going on at the moment. But luckily for my son, he's a bit younger, so it's not as hard for him. But Like this week, I haven't even taken him out to get any air, and I feel guilty for that. And so, if I can follow the guidelines, I don't understand why these people out there can't do the same thing, and it's so frustrating because this is something that's not going to go away. Let's face it, it's not going to go away. But it just comes back to what we've been saying throughout the show: the money talks and bullshit runs a marathon. And until we can accept there's some things that are more important than money, we're not going to get anywhere with this situation, I think.
Perfectly put there, Laurie. And I was going to ask everybody as well, like, if you had like one quick thing to say to anybody who feels this is nonsense, what would you say? I think Laurie's just said his own one right there. But if you want to say anything else, what would you say? Let's start with Charlotte first. What would you say to anyone? Just as a quick message to say.
Stay at home, like otherwise you're a murderer. Like if you want to kill grandmas, kids, and all that, you carry on. But I'm not going to be a murderer, so I'm going to stay at home. So you carry on being murderers. Like that's how it is. Like I'm going to be really horrible.
I'm sorry to laugh, but it's
was that the same question that you asked, man?
No, I'm sorry. Like it's got to the point where you have to be really blunt and harsh for these people to get it in their brains. And I'm not saying everybody, but there are the minority of people that just are thick as shit. And sometimes you just need to be like really horrible and say, well, you carry on and be a murderer and I'm just going to be a saint. And that's saying something, you know. Like
I can't go after that. That's
kind of like, how are you going to compare to that?
Maybe I have nothing to say after that.
Philosophical with
yeah, what Charlotte said. Don't be a murderer.
Don't be a murderer. There you go. It's okay because actually you might be right if you do break the rules and someone does get something from you, then yeah, like potential. But I don't want to call anyone a murderer or anything. So just do the right thing.
I'm happy to call people murderers. So you carry on.
I know you are. That's fine. Your own opinion.
It's one of those things like, in life anyway. Like the government, they've got all these rules, but they don't follow them themselves. So how do you expect people to follow them if you don't follow them? So it's just the double standards, and that's what just makes the whole job for everybody. You say, no, we love the NHS, but then you make it harder for them by breaking the rules yourself. And then because you're breaking the rules, no one's going to sit there and be like, oh, I'm not going to break the rules. They're going to be like, I'm going to break the rules because you're breaking the rules. Like, so once they start leading by example, everything will change. But I don't feel like they're ever going to lead by example because they just feel like they're better than everyone anyway. So they just do what the hell they want, man.
But look at tonight. You've got people protesting. You've got NHS workers protesting outside Downing Street. Now you're complaining about like how we need to protect the NHS, but yeah, NHS workers are protesting in a large group outside Downing Street. Now I have an issue with that. Hypocrisy is something I hate. Nah, hate it. Hate it. It's nearly as bad as being like a murderer. I don't like it. So let me tell you now, if you're going to preach to me that I have to stay home, which is what I've been doing, you're going to do like you carry on and we'll stay at home, because if the NHS workers are protesting, people are going to think it's okay because they're like, oh, but the NHS workers have done it. And that's an excuse for people to do stuff now. And that is that excuse. And the door's been open there because NHS workers are protesting now.
Unfortunately, that's the only way of being heard. And like, I'm sorry, but like, you can send letters into like the MPs. You can protest outside of hospitals, but until you're actually there in plain sight and they look bad, like they feel like they look bad, they don't do anything. And Big Gunner's right. Big Gunner's spot on. Like there's so much bullshit with this government. Like Boris never had it. Come on, we all know this. He never had it. It came at a time when they didn't know what to say. They had no idea what to tell the public, what direction to go in. What's the best thing to do? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll say that the leader of the country, of the government, has come down with this. He's sick right now. He's not available. We're now having. Now think about it. Think about the timing of
I,
this.
I always used to say I want to see his text.
Yeah. Oh no!
Yeah,
You better listen to this. His pregnant missus didn't get it, did she?
Yeah, I want to see the text.
Do you know what I mean? Like, think about this. They'll lie to you. I keep saying it. People have to learn to think for themselves. Like, why are you trusting other people or waiting until other people tell you what to do? Like, think for yourselves. Like, if you can't think for yourselves, you shouldn't be thinking about having children. You shouldn't be doing any of these things.
Yeah.
Like anywhere where you've got any sort of responsibility in life, don't do it. Don't do those things if you need to be told what to do. It's madness.
Well, the comment there, like, sorry guys, but haven't you gone off track with the topics? I just don't think we have. Like, we're still talking about should players not touch each other. It has moved on a little bit from that, but it's in the same swimming pool that we're all swimming. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what.
Go on, Matt. Sorry.
Indiana. No, please.
I was going to say the reason why it relates is because you can't expect footballers not to be touching each other in a contact sport when you can't even fucking sit at home. Like, there's people who can't sit at home.
Literally.
We've got generations before us that have been through world wars, evacuees, little children sent away from their parents.
Indiana
being sent to war, and you can't sit at home when you've got like 500 channels on your TV and the internet.
Indiana, I always think of Anne Frank, and I kind of think, like, you think how she had it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's because
she could even take a walk outside.
It's typically but it is typically English. People say, I'm really sorry to hear that, but don't actually give a fuck. It doesn't affect people until it affects people. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're blind to it. Let's be honest. Like, I haven't really been watching the news. I haven't really been watching the news at all. But I know most people aren't watching the news right now because it's
depressing.
They're bored of it now. Do you know what I mean? They're bored of it.
Same vicious circle.
Yeah, exactly. But because they've stopped watching the news, they haven't been affected by this virus directly. They've just pushed it aside, pushed it to the back of their mind. So they carry on with their day to day. Like, there are things that just do not make sense at all with this at all. You can close the parks, but you can't close the beaches. You can sort of, like, after lockdown, they started letting people out, but you could go wherever the fuck you wanted in the country. Like, keep people to their county. Like, this is something you're trying to contain. So if you're going to start letting people out their houses and mixing, keep them to their county unless it's for work purposes. There's absolutely no need. There's no need for thousands of people to travel down to the Cornish coast where they've got one hospital and 12 beds. 12 beds in the whole county of Cornwall, which is a very poor county with elderly people mainly. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, Brighton Beach. Do you remember the pictures of Brighton Beach?
Beach, yeah.
You just like, it's madness. Like, how come I can think of this, but they can't? Because money comes first. It's about keeping the economy going. It's just, I just think it's stupid. The sooner they put us all on lockdown for like 3 months flat, 3 months, because this will just keep happening. It's not going anywhere, is it? We don't know this. We don't actually know these vaccines work. We don't actually know they're safe. We know nothing about it at all. Because what is science? Science is research. Research takes years. Like, why are there 3 or 4 different vaccines being made up? Like, do you know what I mean? There's so many questions. Yeah. It's about us being sensible ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. Indiana, you made complete sense there as well. I just wanted to move on maybe to the second topic, as seen as you are here, Indiana, and it's about whether Man United are realistically a Premier League contender for this season, and are Arsenal a contender for relegation? I thought that was a boring game. But let's start with Big Gunner and Laurie. What did you make of tonight's game, and what do you think this means for Arsenal, especially with with the fact that we're in the January transfer window right now, and you could sort of bring in some more players to help boost you up in the Premier League.
To be honest, like, as I said, I've been saying all season, I think we're going to finish 7th anyway, so it's not really worrying me. Today was just a performance that I think we're going to see from a lot of teams, because the way they've cramped this whole, obviously because they've got to make up all the games before the Euros start, they've cramped in so many games. They didn't have a pre-season, so you're going to just get a load of these games now. Like yesterday, shouldn't, like, you had Spurs playing Fulham, but they were told 2 days before that you're playing that team, when it takes you, realistically, teams train for a week for a match, for the next match coming up, but you've given them 2 days to prepare for it. And I think obviously that's why Mourinho saying they didn't win last night, but that wasn't the reason. But it's just I don't know, like, it's just hard to even judge football at the moment, because the variables are just so messed up that we don't know what's the real, what is real at the moment. I don't feel like I know what's real. But if you're talking about our Man United champion, the league title contenders, of course you are top of the league, 3 points ahead. You're up there. Everybody's going to drop points. Like Liverpool, Man City, Man United, you're all going to drop points from now to the end. But it's just obviously who drops the most points from now to the end. So yeah, I just don't know what to make of football at the moment. It's just weird at the moment. Just a weird thing.
Wasn't that game already scheduled, but it was only given the go-ahead 2 days before?
No,
Was
because
it scheduled before?
Spurs was supposed to play Aston Villa.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry,
and then I mean, they were supposed to play Fulham a couple of days before, weren't they?
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
But yeah, they changed the game. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, I've just been saying it. Like, once the first team had 4 or 5 people out with COVID, you should have stopped it there. Like, forget about us and what we need to be watching on TV. We can survive without it, but they really need to stop it, because I think personally it's a kick in the teeth for, like, people, like, say I don't know, you're 80 years old and you can't see your granddaughter, you can't see your grandchild, but footballers can play football, and those are the ones that probably they're earning like hundreds of thousands a week, so they can get away with not seeing their family because they have everything they ever need, so it's just, I don't know, man. Like, the whole world's just crazy. I just don't even know what to say anymore, man. Apart from, I just agree with Charlotte. Just don't be a murderer.
Don't be a murderer.
That's it. Just don't be a murderer.
Don't be a corona murderer. Don't be a murder corona. That's okay. That we're all right with that. Someone needs to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Murder corona. Just don't murder people. Because you just don't know if you're asymptomatic or not. So
it's so true. I've said to Matt before, like, the missus, we had a bubble, right, which is like we got family friends with kids, and my mother's household, right. That was our little bubble. My missus, the friend, and my mother all come down with a cold type thing at the same time, all on the Sunday night, stroke Monday morning. They all apply for a test. They get their test through on the Wednesday, all take their test. My missus and the friend, they come back clear. My mum, who's highly asthmatic, comes back as positive. But they've all got exactly the same symptoms, all come down with it at the same time. Now, I'm pretty sure that I have been told this by someone, but I've been told that they're 38% accurate due to the actual test themselves and the human error when it comes to completing the test, if you like. So we don't ever know. What I'm saying is you could get tested, feel like shit, and still have it without the test actually coming back as positive. That's what I'm saying. You need to think for yourselves on it.
I'll tell you why I agree with Indiana, because Like it happened. Like my missus's brother took the test, tested positive. Now his mum works for the NHS, so she has the test at home because she has to do it every time before she goes to work. She used a home test, and then it came back negative. So, which one do you trust?
Mm-hmm.
But now, obviously, the one that he sent back is the one that the government are using to say that this person has coronavirus, this person's taken a test. Now their numbers have gone up. And so now these are the numbers that they're showing to everybody on the TV. And that's what freaking everybody out. So obviously this thing is serious. Obviously it has killed people. But at this time of the year, do we know how much of it is flu?
It's the flu,
and how
yeah,
much of how much of it is actually the coronavirus?
Yeah,
But
The
as
problem,
Charlotte said, stay
I've heard that like because you know when you do the coronavirus test, like you put it up your nose and then down the back of your throat.
Hmm.
So I have heard that you're only supposed to put it down the back of your throat because by putting it up your nose, you're cross-contaminating, which means that you're not actually getting a full result. I'm not saying it's going to be a perfect result, but it lessens the result even more.
the whole thing's just silly, isn't it? And let's just get back to football because
Yeah,
coronavirus.
let's do that.
Yeah.
Man
Yeah,
United.
Big Gunner, it's actually quite refreshing the fact that you came back onto that. Do you know what I mean? That's how boring the game was tonight that we had to go back onto Corona.
Yeah.
But Laurie, I don't know whether you said your part in
You
Arsenal.
did, because I just went off on a random one. Sorry, Laurie.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. I mean, to sum it up, we're where we deserve to be. We're not going to get any better. Being realistic, we know that Arteta ain't going anywhere for now. We're not getting any players in. If we do, it's just going to be a plaster to stick over a wound. Whoever comes in is not going to set this team alight. I mean, I don't like to down tools my team, but that was pathetic. It really was pathetic. It was so bad. I barely watched the match. You'd forget that we was playing. I didn't even know when half the substitutions were made, but it's the same thing. It's just a vicious circle. And I don't know if you've obviously it's the first time me meeting Big Gunner as well. I'm getting to know Shah knows me quite well, and I'm just getting to know you two on a level. But I've seen the same shit since 2004 or whatever, 2006. Since we left Highbury, we haven't looked like a team that's wanted it. And yes, I know a lot of money was involved in us getting to where we are, and we're going to get a new stadium improvements, blah, blah, blah. But I don't see anything that makes me think football is that important in terms of my team. So, and I don't like to feel like that, but they've sucked the energy out of me in terms of caring. It's like I want to care, but there's more important things in life.
And that's
I
the
think
way
you're spot
football.
on.
But we've
football's
had
gone
this
that way in general.
conversation, Laurie. But we've had this conversation, Laurie, so many times about how even since before Wenger left, that like they were just paper macheing over old wounds, and you can only paper over wounds because Wenger had the backing with the money. Like, I don't particularly think Arteta has the full backing, and I think that's why all these secrets have come—not secrets, but like all these things have come out like tumbling out, and like everyone, like some of these Arsenal fans are so shocked, and I'm like, but Wenger had the money to back him, like Arteta doesn't.
These guys, the last two managers have spent
It's been a
more
while.
than Arsene Wenger spent in probably the whole of his Emirates career. I just think what we're seeing at Arsenal is just the way football is going in general, with the exception of Liverpool and Man City and Chelsea, where the owners have come in and said, we want to win trophies. This is what we're here to do, win trophies. Like everybody else is just seeing this thing as a business.
Literally.
And
Because they have the commercial already.
Yeah, that's it. Like
you've got the shirt sales, you've got the merchandise.
Unless you have owners that want trophies, you're not going to get trophies. And I think half of the owners in the Premiership at the moment don't really care too much about trophies. all it is stay in the Premiership and keep selling shirts, and that's just the sad fact of it at the moment. How you get out of it, I don't know. You just need to pray that you get a rich billionaire that wants trophies. That's all you could pray for right now, because it's just sad. Football's just sad at the moment.
I think
Do you
Laurie's
want-
spot on.
Yeah, Indiana, what do you make of it from your perspective, from a Man United to two Arsenal fans, anyway, at least?
I completely agree with Laurie. Laurie. I've been saying this for a long time. Since the move from Highbury, a lot has gone wrong. A lot. I think this is why Spurs went out big this season with Mourinho and signings, because they didn't want that same pattern happening when they moved stadiums or built a new stadium, if you like. And there's been huge problems with the way the club's been run at Arsenal as an outsider, as a rival. I look at it like I know what you're saying, Big Gunner, about money being spent, but we do have to look at inflation. Wenger did spend money.
Yeah, but on who? And tell me.
No. I think
the biggest signings he made while he was at the Emirates were probably our best players that we've had at the Emirates. The ones that he's actually spent money on. We were bringing in people like Park and Benayoun and all these people. We was getting them just budget footballers like Shamak. He was getting all the budget stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, all the players. As soon as he left, there was a bit more because they thought, okay, we need to show the fans at least something little. But they've spent more money. I don't know. We'd have to look at the facts, but I'm pretty sure we spent more money since Wenger's left in those 3 years than Wenger probably spent in the whole of his Emirates time.
You might be right.
Sorry, yeah, with that 72 million we paid for Pepe, that would have been, Wenger would have got a squad, like a 2-3 year squad out of that.
Maybe. I just think there was a massive. For one, I think there was a huge problem with either medical staff, coaching staff, or the training ground itself. For a long period, you picked up a lot of injuries. Like, players were picking up long-term injuries, and I don't know whether it was the training regime or what, but you had like
people breaking our legs and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about like
international break, Big Gunner. That's what we used to be praying, a lie.
Yeah, trust me.
Every time there was an international break, we prayed that someone
that Fabregas don't get injured.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying though. That you, for some reason, for a long period, you're picking up lots of injuries. You had like Ramsey, Wiltshire, Walcott, Welbeck. Like, all these players were constantly picking up injuries.
Funny thing is, with the exception of Walcott, we just signed injury-prone players. So it's just like we knew they were going to be injury-prone, but we thought that for some reason we was able to give them some magic plasters that would get them through. But I don't know. Yeah, it's just all depressing at the moment, and I'm always a bit wary when you get owners come from like America and all they know is American football, or they know baseball, or they know NBA. What makes you think you know the English Premiership? Like,
I think they know the business of it. That's the point, isn't it?
Even then,
we
you're
can take money and put it into the sport we enjoy. That's what happens with the Glazers.
So let's
start.
I want to move on to maybe like the main topic of the end of it was the fact that, do you think that Man United should be held as...
Ooh, I came at the right time.
As high as... Mike, I'm going to ask you, man, because, you know, this rivalry thing and Sunday's game. Do you think Man United should be held as high as title contenders for this Premier League season, or do you think United fans are getting a little bit hasty and need to sort of stop jumping the gun, or whatever you want to say?
I think Manchester United are title contenders. They are like, respectfully, they are title contenders. And at this stage, it would be disrespectful not to say that they are not, especially as it's past Christmas. I guess I can just change my headphones.
Oh.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Yeah, United are. It's past New Year. It's past Christmas period. That's the toughest period to get through. And to be honest, when I was looking at their fixtures from sort of early December till this period, I had them nowhere near the top. I thought they would literally bottle it, but they've not. They've not. They've showed perseverance. They've showed how to play ugly and get 3 points. They've especially the win against Burnley at what day was it? What day was it they played against Burnley? Was it Tuesday? I think so. Tuesday they played against Burnley. So I thought Burnley would hold them off to a point, but nah, they found a way to get it done. So in terms of the rivalry coming up, if ever there's a time for Manchester United to go ahead and beat Liverpool, it's now, especially given that they've got such a incredible away record this season. So I think any Liverpool fan that does not see Manchester United as a threat on Sunday is just being, dubious. I think United are in a title race with us. However, saying all that, I don't honestly see Manchester United beating Liverpool on Sunday. I can't see it. I mean, they really should. They really should, considering that we are in a crisis at the back and we can't defend to save ourselves. I think United should find a way to beat us, but do I think they will? No, because I think if ever there's a team you don't want to play as underdogs, is Liverpool Football Club. And I still remember what I seen us do against Barcelona when I would have said to you, no, Barcelona are 3 goals to the good here. Like, there's no chance we're going to come back against them. I'm sure we didn't even have like a fully fit squad as well. I honestly don't think that United are going to get anything from the game on Sunday, but I can totally see the argument for it, though. I mean, I'm not going to say that there is not an argument for it. So that's my opinion.
Can I just say as well, like with your picture, is that like Klopp's mentality? Like make like,
I just like this picture. I think it's just a heat map of somebody's let's just say genital area getting overexcited.
Jesus Christ!
You're right, Charlotte.
I'm just confused at what he said. Like, I'm so confused at how he doesn't think Man U are potential threats.
I did.
He didn't say that. He just said he doesn't think they're going to win on Sunday.
I'm confused as to why you think they can't win, because I personally think it's either going to go either way, and I think personally, Man U.
Charlotte, can I just say,
Man U will beat you this weekend.
Respectfully, I honestly think we're going to destroy Manchester United 3-0.
No. Can I just finish what I was going to say first? Man U will beat you on in the Premier League, and Liverpool will then get revenge in the FA Cup and kick them out.
No,
however,
no,
I don't think you're going to win both. I don't think you're going to.
We don't care about the FA Cup, and Manchester United are going to win on Sunday. But
okay,
that's
so
your opinion.
So pick one that you want to win then, because you're only going to win one.
Why do I have to pick? Why do I have to pick one?
Because you're not going to win 2. You're underestimating Man U. They're not going to come at you.
I didn't underestimate Manchester United at any point. I just said I don't think they're going to win on Sunday.
No, they could beat you on Sunday, and I have a gut feeling that they will.
No comment.
Indiana, you there?
Yeah, Indiana, Matt, that was a bold statement. What you got to say about that?
Yeah,
3-0. I would say actually United are underdogs. I mean, Klopp's a great manager. Liverpool are the champions. I mean, I'm being told Liverpool are a great side. They've got a great manager. The greatest sides in history win back to back. That's what they do. I mean, God forbid Liverpool would become Leicesterpool. We won't want that to happen. I think the pressure's all on Liverpool. It is all on Liverpool. If they do something as stupid as play Henderson and Fabinho at the back, Cavani will tear them apart. His movement will tear them apart. It will create space for Bruno to come into it. Can we lose this game? Of course we can lose this game. We're not expected to be at the top. But we got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a manager. We're not expected to be at the top. Liverpool should win. They are the greatest side in the Premier League right now because they are the champions. Will they win 3-0? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Can they win? Of course they can. But I expect Liverpool to come at Manchester United. Klopp's already rattled. They want to come at Manchester United because they want to win. They need to win.
If they come at you, it's going to be
trouble.
It's going to be very peak.
Yeah, it's trouble.
Yeah, it's that first
But
10
this is-
minutes.
this
We'll see how the game's going to go.
Very
But this
vital.
is this isn't the Liverpool. This isn't the Liverpool that you saw last season that wanted that title.
I know,
This
but
isn't this isn't the season that like Liverpool were competing with Man City for the last treble for the last 3 times. This is a Liverpool that got beaten by Aston Villa 7-2. And I'm not going to get any.
What you got to be worried
Liverpool
about
fans.
is that this isn't their best, and they're still 3 points off the top. So
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is that they have weaknesses this season. They have weaknesses.
Their main
Like,
weaknesses.
I'm-
Their main weaknesses. They got found out last season. The end of last season, I was telling people the system. They've been found out.
No, I just think. I think they gave up once they had won the league.
Right now.
I think once they won the league, they sort of gave up last season, and there was nothing really to play for.
Since Virgil van Dijk gone, like the injury of Virgil van Dijk, like, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be relying on players, and Liverpool shouldn't be relying on him. However, like since he's gone, it's kind of Liverpool have made mistakes and mistakes that are costing them because Liverpool, out of the bottom 6, have only beaten 2 of the bottom 6. They've lost or drawn to 4 of them. Like that's not a good statistic. As Liverpool, as champions of the Premier League, that's not a good statistic.
Guys, Charlotte has a point, to be fair.
And not to know, the biggest thing.
The only statistic that matters is the one at the end of the season. You could lose to all these shit teams and win the league. If you still win the league, no one's going to care.
Which is going to rattle the fans even more when it happens because it's going to happen.
I expect Man United to drop off. I don't expect us to win the league. Man City are the favourites for the title.
Why do you think Manchester United are going to drop off, Indiana?
Because we haven't got a very well balanced side. We don't have a great centre back partnership. We play Scott McTominay and Fred in the middle. We don't have a right winger.
But that's got you to the top. That's got you to the top of the league, though. Everything you just quoted.
Yeah, but that's because Liverpool have been so poor and City have had 2 games in hand.
Yeah, so all you can do, Indiana, is Manchester United anyway. All they can do is just continue winning games.
I think it's a bit of reverse psychology. Man United fans are hitting us with.
I know exactly what.
No, it's not reverse psychology from me. It's not reverse psychology.
To be honest,
I know where we are, Matt. You know how I feel about this. You know,
remember when Leicester won the league? This was the same thing. Everybody kept saying they're not going to win it. They're not going to win it, and then before we realised, it's 38 games and Leicester are the champions. So it's that sort of year that we've got.
I think Liverpool will drop more points. I think they will. I have them finishing 3rd. I really do. I think that will happen. You've got to remember, right? With the coronavirus and games being stopped, games being moved around. You've got the FA Cup. You've got Champions League, Europa. All these things. They're going to be stretched squads. It won't be until the back end, the very back end of the season, where you're having to use all your youth players in competitions. And, I think if Man United or Liverpool are going to benefit from the FA Cup game, one of them is going to benefit, and it'd be the team for the league. It'd be the team that gets knocked out, in my opinion. The team that gets knocked out should benefit in the league because there's less games to play.
Yeah.
It is that this season. It is that.
So
Liverpool.
Can I just come in on this, Charlotte? Maybe direct it to you as well while you're trying to come in there. Never underestimate Liverpool. Would you agree with that? With what you're about to say?
I was gonna actually say don't underestimate Man United because I think the problem is that the problem I'm saying is that everyone assumes Liverpool are going to win. Like I've heard so many people tell me that Liverpool are going to win, but the problem you have is that look at the statistics. Man, you are top of the league. Like,
Yeah, but
they're not up there for no reason.
Liverpool haven't
I get
lost at
that,
home for 16
but
games.
but
I like those odds.
Liverpool have a weakened defense. Liverpool have a weakened defense right now. They're not playing 100%. And if they turn out how they did the last couple of games, I think Man U have a great chance of winning, a genuinely good chance of winning. Because I don't particularly think that you can say Liverpool are the best they've ever been right now, because they're not. They have weaknesses, and you can use those weaknesses. And if Ole's clever enough, he will like incite those weaknesses so that Man U take control. Like, because
If it's that
Liverpool,
easy,
no, I'm not saying it's that easy, but Liverpool have always been the team that haven't had that many weaknesses. They have a few, and you can pick at them, but they've always been that when they attack at you, it's game over. Like, there's always either a goal or something, or they try and get a goal out of it. Like, when they attack, it's attack. But I feel like this season they've kind of lost their way a little bit. And I'm not saying in every game, because they have showed signs, but they are struggling. And like the Aston Villa, like they drew with West Brom. Like, these are teams that they should be at. They were beating last season, and they're not beating now.
It's a crazy year. Remember, Man United lost 6-1 to Spurs.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy year.
And we drew with Arsenal.
That.
Yeah,
we drew with Arsenal.
You drew or lost?
Oh, sorry, we lost to Arsenal. Yeah. We lost to. That's even worse. We lost to Arsenal.
It's just one of those years where you just have to.
Well, you can both relate to that. You and Charlotte can both relate to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
how have Arsenal?
I'm not having that.
How have Arsenal beaten Chelsea and Man United and in this position? It just the whole year just doesn't make sense. So I wouldn't be surprised if Man United went to Anfield and turned over Liverpool with some ease. I wouldn't be surprised, but then I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool won the game 6-0. Yeah, so
I wouldn't be surprised. But when you look at it, right, when you're 3 points above Liverpool, if Liverpool win, we're still in the race.
Listen, this is a massive game for you guys. If you could win this game, that's 6 points. 6 points is hard to claw back. It's hard to claw back.
I don't know whether it is this season. I still wouldn't be surprised if Man United finished fourth. It would not surprise me, honestly. Like, there's a long way to go in the season. It's a weird season. We get an injury to Bruno and Rashford. Do you know what I mean? These type of things where we don't have those players to come in. Martial's at like 9% in front of goal. It's crazy. So listen. Liverpool could get a goal from a set piece, like Mane toe poke and a penalty, or a free kick, or Henderson just smashes one from outside the box, ricochets off all 11 players and goes in the back of the net. One of those shots. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could be one of those games where you're just like, they're relentless at bringing the ball forwards, and they don't get like world-class goals or anything, but they're those dirty little tap-ins. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
I think you can't underestimate.
I wouldn't be worried about Thiago. He's not the worry for me.
You can't underestimate.
He's just going to retain that ball. And the last thing United want to be doing is chasing the ball.
Well, that's what we do well. That when you have Fred, McTominay, and Bruno, that's what they do well. So I don't mind Thiago being on the ball. For me, that's not a problem. My issue would be Mane against Wan-Bissaka and Salah. Those two would be my issue. Whether it depends who's on the left. If it's like Martial on the left, will Trent get into the game? Because he's not great at covering Wan-Bissaka, like tracking back. Sorry, at covering Trent. He's not great at tracking back at all, Martial. I just think we have a lot more in the middle of the park, and it will be the second half that will worry me the most. It will either be the last 20 minutes we applied so much pressure we score a goal, or it will be we're already up, drawing the game, and we're pinned back and they will get a header from a corner or something like that. I can't see it being a 3-4-0 game.
No. I mean, the thing is, there's so many times as well I think this game's going to be a draw, to be honest with you. It's one of them games where, yeah, it can go either way, but there's so many times, so much of these games, as you lot have related to earlier, because a lot of the games are coming thick and fast as well. The players aren't getting enough recovery time, and every time we build up a game that's going to be a so-called blockbuster game, aside from even our game against Chelsea, it wasn't really a blockbuster. Like the 3-1 was because we got a few chances, but on a whole, every time there's been a game that's got so much build-up and expectation behind it, nothing really happens. The teams are very neutral, and they just drown each other out, and then it's just whoever takes their chances when they come. So as much as we're building up this game to what can happen, it might just end up being like what we watched today.
I think that's my point, though.
Sorry, Indiana. But I'm going to get straight back to you. Just wanted to shout out Red Devil Studio. Come on in. Come and have your say. We got Beaks coming on in about 5 minutes as well to come and have his say. Please, Indiana, continue. Sorry about that.
That's right. I was going to say that's one of the big problems for me is our finishing in the box. If it's one of those games where it's sort of you get very few chances. If that's the same for both sides, Liverpool for me are more likely to take them than Man United are. I just don't think we have enough goal scorers in the box at Manchester United. Like this, we like to score certain goals. Martial likes to run at players, get in behind, and bend the ball in. Like Rashford likes to have a touch before he takes a shot. These types of things. Like Cavani's our only first-time finisher, really. It's not even Arsenal have better instinctive finishers in the box than Man United. Like Lacazette and Aubameyang, both of them are first-time finishers. Like we've got one. We got Cavani, really, when you think about it. Whereas you look at Liverpool, and they've got like Firmino can do it, Salah, Jota, Mane. Like they've got a lot of goal scorers in the box. I don't think I want to see that sort of game. That would worry me. That would worry me a lot. I want to see us control that midfield in terms of winning the ball back. Not in possession, because I don't think we can do that with those players. But with McTominay and Fred, like if McTominay can nullify Neymar, we'll be absolutely fine with Thiago. We'll be fine with Henderson, and especially if Henderson is put into centre back. If Henderson's put into centre back and players like Martial are running at him and Rashford, we might see an open game.
Yeah, do you think, Big Gunner, do you think it will be an open game, or do you think it's going to be very, very close and it could be another 0-0 like it was with Man U and Chelsea? Or what do you make of it?
No, I think it's going to be super duper open, man, because I think what we forget about Liverpool, even if they're not playing well, they just get hundreds of chances, so they just don't finish them. So I just think it's going to be open. I think United have to go for it, man. I think if they do any sort of sitting back, it's going to make it hard to get out. And like Indiana was saying, it's hard when you don't have just that striker that will just get you that goal with one shot, which I think Cavani does have in him. I think he's been one of the top strikers for the last 10 years or so.
No, he's the only one.
You do have that, but on a breakaway, it's Martial and Rashford that are getting the chances, and that doesn't always fill you with confidence. I love both of them, to be fair. Like I honestly thought Martial would be like, I honestly thought he'd be like Thierry Henry, to be fair, when I first saw him play football.
We wish.
But it's just going to be so open, and like we've all said, there's no one. I don't think anyone can sit there and say they know what the result is going to be, because I think it's just one of those games that literally I don't even think there's a draw. I don't even think a draw is a result. I think it's one of the other wins. It's that important at the moment. So hopefully we're just in for a great spectacle.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'm really nervous. It's going to be my birthday on that same day. It always is Man United Liverpool on my birthday around that time. For the last 2 years, we've lost them games.
What, for your 40th?
Yeah,
No, it's his 50th.
very kind words, Big Gunner. Very kind words. Very kind.
I like the odds though. I love it when people tell me that, like, we haven't won there in so long, they've been undefeated. Those are the sort of odds I love. Like the Man United Arsenal game, I just knew, because that was the biggest stat that was pulled out, how long it's been since Arsenal beat Man United. And I was adamant we were going to lose that. I was like, we're going to lose this game. I don't like these odds at all. Like, these odds don't last. This doesn't last forever.
It doesn't last forever. You just hope that the players don't think about it. And sometimes you see with these things that players are clearly thinking about it. Like, they look like they've lost before they've stepped on the pitch. I don't think we'll see that from Man United.
I don't think United are like that right now. For the first time in a long time, they all look confident and up for it.
Well, that's why I wanted to move on to maybe asking Charlotte about Chelsea. Now, we all probably had the odds on them being top of the league this season. They were going to be the dominant ones. They spent 200 million in the transfer window, and everyone looked at it and went, wow, they've really done well this transfer window. They should be at least top 2 by this time of the year. And
Charlotte, slow down, girl.
So, Charlotte, get another bottle of wine. Let's settle down to you.
Mate, you're gonna be here all night.
How many therapy with this shit? Like, how long have you got? Like,
I got ages, but
so, like, I have several opinions on this. Like, one of them was I absolutely lost. Like, I think I've been angry and said shit out of anger because, like, I just get frustrated with my team. But the problem I have is that, like, sometimes my teams look like it hasn't turned. Like, my team looks like they haven't turned up a lot of the time. When we played against Arsenal, we didn't deserve to win. We did not deserve to win because Arsenal turned up and we didn't. We made Arsenal look good. That's embarrassing for us. Like, no offense, Arsenal fans.
I think you came to us with the expectation that you was going to win before the game.
They got.
I didn't expect to win. I hope to win. Like, that's the difference. Like,
Stop that. You lot was all laughing.
You always have that gut feeling, though. You always have that gut feeling that any team can beat you. And the problem is that we got complacent that we could beat any team, and that's not factual information because no team is better than us. And any team can beat us no matter what, and that's a factual information. Like, any team can beat us. It doesn't matter.
That's just any team.
But that's what I mean. Arsenal could have beaten us. Like, however much I thought it was like, I thought it was an 80-20. Like, I generally thought like it was 80-20. Like, there was still a 20% chance you guys could win. And
Chelsea are to blame for kickstarting Man City and Arsenal. Like,
yeah, I know. You're telling me. You're telling me. You're telling me.
You could go on Bits and Bob's show and listen to where I said Arsenal were going to beat Everton and Chelsea. I was that confident that we was going to win both of those matches. I know the Chelsea, not Chelsea, sorry, the Everton one didn't quite work out, but I was so confident that we was going to beat both of those teams because I thought both of them would go into the match with a cocky attitude, thinking they're going to smash us, and then it weren't going to work. And then that's what happened. You kind of kickstarted our season. Because you thought you'd won.
Do you know what
they had won before they stepped on the pitch?
Do you know what the problem I have with the Man City game? Is the Man City game, the first 10 minutes, we were all right. Like, I wasn't complaining the first 10 minutes, but then they got a goal. And then we didn't recover. And then they got a second goal. And then we didn't even recover. And then it was just game over after that second goal. They didn't even need a third goal. It was game over after the second goal. Like, we switched off. And that's the problem I have with Chelsea players, is that they can switch it on and off. Like, look at the West Ham game. Yes, we won, but it was 1-0 at half time, and Declan Rice should have at least got a goal. Like, West Ham were unlucky, severely unlucky that they didn't get a goal. But the point I'm saying is we switched it off from after we got that first goal in the 20th minute. We switched it off until like the 70th minute to get those second goals. Like, we can switch it on and off, and that's my issue, is that Chelsea seem to be able to turn it on and off. Like, I don't know if anyone else agrees, but we seem to be able to turn when we want to turn up or not. Like, and I feel like that's a stressful, like, it's frustrating because we spent 260 million. Like, why are we turning up like that?
You didn't know because you've got
Pardon?
to, I don't think people forget you had a transfer ban. So, like this whole spent this amount of money in that window, half it, because that's over 2 windows, right? For one.
Yeah.
Secondly, I was on Monster's channel today. I was supposed to go on there for like 5 minutes, and I was on there for 2 hours. But I said, I was saying that basically, I see it as you've brought in 6 players. I don't think they're Frank signings at all. That's not the way it works at Chelsea. You've got a great board, great owner. They know what they're doing in terms of football. That they buy players to fit any manager. I think Werner was bought for the role he's playing, to play not as a winger, but as a wide striker. He did that a lot at his last club off of Poulsen. He likes space to run into. He's terrible at holding up the ball, so he was never going to be that number 9 that everyone thinks he is. He's not that. His link play is just terrible. His runs are incredible. His timing of them are brilliant. When he gets in behind, he's great at it. But you know, that I think that's why Liverpool were looking at him as to be able to play across the front line. He's not clicking. I think Frank and the board have had a discussion about playing a certain system and making this system work, which is why he hasn't changed it. He's persisting with it. It's not working. I think they expected a little bit more from Havertz. They're trying to play a system that would incorporate Havertz. He's not a number 10 as such. He's always kind of played off the striker, closer to the striker. You haven't got that solid DM player that can carry the ball, that can pass from deep, like do all of it. You've got players who can do parts of that, but like that's what I'm saying, that Declan Rice probably would suit you, as much as a lot of Chelsea fans don't want that to happen. It adds that balance.
But
So
no,
I
I understand what you're saying with like the fact that we didn't have a transfer ban last season. But do you agree that like the players aren't turning up? Like, or do you think that's just Chelsea fans being a bit? Because to me, it looks like, I'm not saying all the matches, but some of the matches, it like they look like the Man City match. We turned up in the first 10 minutes, and the minute they got 2 goals, we didn't react quick enough, and we didn't turn up.
Yeah, there is definitely a player problem, but this is what I'm saying. I think they're trying to force the system. If you don't like the way the players are being coached, then you need to be, all the energy needs to go towards the board anyway. If you don't like the manager, don't like the system, don't like the way things are going, that's the way Chelsea is run. Managers aren't what we think they are, because we were so used to the Fergies and Wengers of having full control of the club, doing the deals, making the signings, buying their players. That doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't happen. There's a whole board, directors of football who do all of this. Managers manage the side. You have coaches that are coaching. There's so many different coaches now for different things in football. It's a different game to what it was 15 years ago. It really is. I think that's why Fergie retired when he did. Honest, because I think he was kind of getting bad players, the players he didn't want in. Remember, we bought some terrible players after we sold Ronaldo. So in terms of Chelsea, I think there has always been a plan to bring in a top manager this summer coming. I think that's always been the plan. Frank came in because you had a transfer ban, and because he did, regardless of what anybody thinks, I think he did an incredible job at Derby with young players. Chelsea have got great young players, and I think Frank came in to bridge that gap between the academy and first team, knowing the club well, doing well at Derby with young players. Did really well last season, got top 4. This season is a bedding in season. That's what it's always going to be. Remember, you've bought 6 players in. Players from overseas, young players
7,
who are here for 7 maybe, for players for the long term. This isn't a Mourinho that's bought in players for right now to be ready right now. You've got Kai Havertz. You spent £80 million on him for him to be there for the next 5 years. Like, granted, you've had other things come into it as well. Like, you've had COVID, you've had injuries, but you can't expect all these things to click.
Havertz is not someone that I've ever said when he came back, like I always expected it to be different. I think because you can't underestimate the side effects of COVID, and I've never said that, and I always said that he's suffering, and you don't know what he's going through. Period. End of. Like you can't judge. You can
I get that. My
speculate,
issue.
but you can't. But I've also said that we have players from the Bundesliga that need to come over and adjust and gel. Like I've said that before, but I think there's certain issues that I have, like the players not turning up is one of my issues. Like I don't have an issue with like Frank. Yes, it frustrates me when we lose, but I mean we all lose sometimes. That life goes on, but I think any fan that doesn't get annoyed at losing is not a real fan. Like you still have got that little, yeah. But I mean, I don't want. I've always wanted Frank to succeed. Whether I'm on the fence, whether I'm Frank in, we're Frank out. Like whether I'm any of those, I've always wanted Frank to succeed no matter what, and I would like him to succeed still. Like I really would.
I think it's like the big thing is right. Chelsea Football Club, they're ruthless in sacking managers. They are ruthless in it. They don't really care. Like they're not there for emotions and cuddles. Do you know what I mean? They'll get rid of a manager if they feel they need to. Think about this. You spend over £200 million, Chelsea Football Club, and you go and get Frank Lampard. And that's what I'm saying to you. I said the same thing to Monster earlier. I think there is a long-term plan.
Before anybody cuts in there, I just want to shout out Monster coming back onto the show. Thank you for joining us, mate. Much appreciated for that. What did you
thank him? You got to thank him for his prayers as well, because we're top.
But the problem I have is that, like last season, Frank Lampard, like he was taking risks in the game. If we messed up, he was changing it up. But this season, he's playing 4-3-3, watching it fail. Oh, let me change it up. Now it's failed. Like that's not what I want. I want to see risks being taken. If it fails, it's a risk that you've taken that we can be like, yeah, actually, that's a risk you've taken. I can respect you because you've taken a risk. I can't, like, however much he's a club legend, I have to separate the fact that he's not taking risks right now, and he's not doing what, like, he's playing Werner out of place, like if Werner is not a winger, like period, end of. Like he's not, like he doesn't need to be outside on the side. He doesn't need to be out on the outside either. He doesn't need to be on the outside. I don't want him on the outside. But personally, like I feel like Frank's made a couple of mistakes, and I'm not blaming fully Frank, but I'm saying there are certain mistakes that Frank needs to acknowledge, which some of them he has, some of them he hasn't. But then also the players haven't turned up either, so I can't particularly blame fully Frank when the players look like they don't turn up either.
I think your fan base is just so spoiled over the last decade or so. Like I've got to be honest, Chelsea fan base is spoiled with what happened over such a short period of time.
Well, let's just
that's part of it.
Well, let's ask Monster that. Well, welcome Beaks as well into the show, mate. First time. Thank you very much for coming on.
Love for having me on, bro.
Thank you, mate. Monster, what are you making of all this talk against Chelsea? You know, you always say like pray for our rivals and all that. And how has that changed now? Or like, I still think Chelsea. What? Hear it all the time, Monster. Like, hear it all the time. Everyone goes, Monster said that, and I'm like, well, you're right. When Chelsea first put these players in, I was scared of Chelsea. But the way the league's gone this whole season, nobody knows how anyone's going to perform the next game they play. Like, would you agree with that, Monster? Like, it's a weird one for Chelsea. It's not the right time.
It is a weird season, but I don't give Chelsea the excuse because, like, everyone's going through it as well, not just us. Obviously, big up everyone in here. Obviously, I've just come off Twitter because I've been arguing with people about the loan out Mikhail Tomori, but it's not just a loan move. There's an option to buy, and I think that's quite disgraceful, especially with Andreas Christensen still in that team. That hurts me the most because Christensen, I can't even count the amount of points he's cost us. I can't count the amount of points Antonio Rudiger's cost us.
Is your mic plugged in, Monster?
Yeah, you sound mad quiet.
Hold on.
Really quiet, man.
Sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but you can turn it back down again if you want.
Sorry, my mix. Yeah, is it better now? Yeah.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Sorry. These guys, Christensen and Rudiger, have cost us a shit ton of points. Like so many points from last season. Christensen you could say, cost us the Aston Villa game, cost us the Liverpool game when they beat us 2-0, got that red card. Cost us the West Brom game. Two bad mistakes from him, Marcus Alonso. Obviously, Thiago Silva did get a mistake in that game as well. Christensen as well against Southampton. I'm just bringing up so many games. Bukayo Tomori made one mistake against, I think it was Bournemouth last season, dropped. Never to be seen again. When Christensen made that mistake against Liverpool, Bukayo Tomori came in and cleaned up after him. Was very good in that game, that 2-0 defeat. How is it Andreas Christensen and Antonio Rudiger getting this team over Bukayo Tomori? It doesn't make sense to me. Every time Christensen is on that pitch, I'm thinking we're going to concede at any point. The guy's like a feather. Do you know what I mean? So easy to brush off the ball. He's taller than Tomori. He's not better in the air than Tomori, which doesn't make sense. People say, oh, well, Tomori's short. He's not good in the air. He's better than Christensen, who's so much taller than him. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that it doesn't bother me we're about to loan him out. Loan is a good move. He's going to AC Milan, school of defending. Thiago Silva learned there himself. Next to Nesta.
That's right.
That's why he's so good at what he's doing right now. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we're including an option to buy on one of our young, very good centre-backs, one of our best centre-backs last season. Do you know what I mean? That's disgraceful from Chelsea. That's disgraceful. Like, I don't know. I can't. I don't think anyone else would sell him. I don't think Liverpool will. I don't think Man United will if they had him. Like, Liverpool actually inquired about him, but Chelsea don't want to sell to a rival.
Yeah.
That's how well they think of him. What's wrong with Chelsea? What is wrong with us? Why are we're doing this again? We did this with De Bruyne. We did this with Salah. We did this with Lukaku.
But that turned out all right. Turned out all right because you bought in top players. This is Chelsea. Come on. Like,
I hear what you're saying.
It hasn't turned out right though, because all of those players now, if those guys are playing,
at the time it was the right thing to do.
I don't think they ever had the chance to prove that they could play, because they just didn't have they weren't proven.
Indiana's right in the sense of short term, it made sense because we sold De Bruyne. We bought in, I think it was Fabregas and Willian. Made sense at the time, but then we could have continued rather than selling them. We could have continued to loan them out and then bring them back. But Mourinho obviously wanted to win now. He didn't care about the future, so he obviously sold him. And now look at it. We've missed out on two of the world's best players. We've also missed out on one of the world's best strikers. No matter how people feel about Lukaku,
The guy's a baller, man.
Bangs in goals. Do you get what I mean? He banged in 30-something goals last season. So
Monster is a price. It's a price. It's a price that Chelsea have to pay, though, isn't it? You know them ones there. I think everyone knows Chelsea's history in terms of, like, when you get managers in such as like Mourinho. Mourinho just cares about himself. So it's not
instant win, in it.
It's mad to have to say this, but it's something that Chelsea should have seen coming. If you know what I mean.
No, but I see what Monster's saying. He's saying why they're not selling Christensen. Like, why you're not selling? Why not sell rubbish players? Why sell the one that can actually play football?
I don't know what it is. And the mad is, I think the maddest stat I saw today was that I think it's Piazza, isn't it? That
10 years, isn't it?
10 years, bro.
Yeah. Did he actually even play?
Finally left. One of Chelsea's longest serving players. He's only played one game, bro.
One game that I remember.
Crazy. So I understand the Chelsea. I understand what Monster's saying. Like, why are these players still on the books? But yet we're letting go of the talent like De Bruyne, Salah. I mean,
because people want to buy talent. That's the point. Man United have been trying to get rid of Phil Jones for 10 years.
Bro.
No one wants to buy him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he's shit.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. He's won a Premier League.
Yeah, are we really gonna give him?
He was actually good. No, he was good when he was young. He just
every time the transfer window comes, he's injured though, isn't it? So he knows what he's doing.
without playing, like how? Yeah,
Like, he's going to be fine in
he's
3
just
weeks'
got a
time.
very
Man.
comfy chair in that treatment room at the PS4. That's what he's got. That's what it is.
Like Jem, do you agree? Like the fact, are you not pissed that we're keeping Christensen and possibly selling to Maury?
I ain't surprised because Lampard's just clearly shown no faith in him anyway, and he's played Christensen over him in the first place. But yeah, I am pissed because, to be honest, Christensen is the worst defender that we've got out of the four there anyway. So I just don't understand it, really. I really don't understand it. But I do and I don't, put it that way. I do and I don't.
Is it Lampard or is it somebody else behind the board that's telling him, like, now you got to make these decisions?
Well, you'd think Lampard would want to play him. At Derby, he was his leader. Like, what happened from Derby to Chelsea? That's what
because the board make the decisions, especially at Chelsea. I keep telling you all this. Frank's not buying these players in. He's there to bring the youth through. You have a manager coming in the summer. That's what I strongly believe. This is Chelsea Football Club. You just spent £250 million. You don't spend that money and think we need Frank Lampard now. That's not what happens. Like, he's there to bed in these young players. The board obviously have plans.
Maury's young, bruv.
Yeah, I understand. I get what you're saying. But at the same time, he's playing Werner every single game without changing up the system. There's something going on behind the scenes. It's like, you don't just have Frank. He's got loads of coaches around him. This isn't like, oh, Frank can't see what's going on. Like, there's enough people in that club with football knowledge to be putting forward ideas and patterns of play and systems. I just think it comes from the board, and there's a direction they want Frank to take the team, to bed these players in for a top manager to come in and take them forwards. There's no other reason to keep Frank there.
Beats, what are you saying about this? I see like Tomori is pipping Lampard's sister or something, you know.
I just think it's some Zaha conspiracy. Do you get me? Like, I'm looking at the whole situation. I hear what everyone's saying, and I'm just thinking, yo, guys, bro, like, this is crazy. And I understand Chelsea's frustration in it, but it's just one of them things that you just gotta deal with it, man, because it's probably gonna happen, bro. That's the sad thing about the whole thing. I don't know what it is with Chelsea and their issue with letting these talent go and whatnot. I don't know what goes on over there. I know I'm blaming Lampard and the board, because had Lampard been playing him week in and week out, you guys wouldn't even be in this situation. You wouldn't even be thinking of selling him. So I don't know what Lampard's problem is. Maybe he's thinking, yeah, I got Thiago Silva, I'm calm. The bruv, you gotta think about the longevity. And you know what? Maybe he's not thinking about longevity because he knows his time's gonna be up at the end of the season, bro. You never know, man. And Chelsea's thinking, yeah, do you know what? Fuck it, we're just gonna sell Tomori as well. I don't know what it is, man. The structure at Chelsea is a bit weird, but it's definitely better than United's because we got our own problems. And I'm not here to be talking about slandering Chelsea like that. I just think it's a bit. It's a
I'm
shame.
here for it.
But if we're talking about getting rid of players, shouldn't we be getting rid of like the older players like Christensen, like who actually shouldn't even be making the starting 11? Personally, in my opinion, like I'm sorry, like we don't need him. Like Tomori actually has so much potential, and we're just throwing that away. Like, and that's a problem I have. Like, Lampard has brought in this youth. But then he's trying to get rid of youth as well. And Tomori actually has such potential here. And we're trying to get rid of him because, like, I don't understand. I don't understand the thinking because Frank supports the youth so much. He's brought in Mount and, like, Abraham and that. And then he's getting rid of Tomori.
Who's the centre back you guys brought in?
Huh?
Who's the centre back that Chelsea brought in the summer?
Thiago Silva.
No. Yeah. The one that went on loan.
Malang Sarr.
Yeah, Sarr. That's it. How, and be honest, like, because I haven't seen too much of him. How good is he?
He's good.
He's good, but he's not getting the team.
I think he's a lone army player.
Yeah.
So
lone army. So he's not better than Tomori. Is that what we're saying?
No, I don't know. He could be.
You know that I'm just saying it because I'm gonna be real. I've never seen too much of Sarr, so it could be one of them things where they go, do you know what? We've got Sarr here. We can afford to let Tomori go. It might be a big prospect for Chelsea. You just got to see it.
The other thing I
Tomori being a world beater, I think that's the issue. Like, as much as we think he's good now, do we think he has enough to be a world beater? I don't
Yeah.
personally don't know. I just think he's a very good player, and I think he will stay being a very good player. But will he be a world beater? That is the question. And I think
We'll
But
never
you
get that
guys,
hear what you're
Go for it,
saying,
Jen. Go on, mate.
You
Go
got to
on.
ask yourself,
Say your piece.
is
What
Christensen
was I saying? So,
and Rudiger
as a
world
Chelsea,
beater?
that's the thing.
as a
There you
Chelsea
go.
fan, you never, ever, ever like this is not new to us. This ain't new. Us getting rid of young players, talented players. Like I feel like with Chelsea fans, sometimes we treat it like it's a big surprise. It's not. We've been doing it for a very long time. We buy players, we bring them in, we start them. Some of the youth players come through and start in Ruben and Callum here and there, but originally the rest of them they all end up getting loaned. So it's not a big surprise Tomori's getting dumped out at the moment. We do that. That's the philosophy. That's what we've done, and it is shit. I don't agree with it, but it's just what we do as a football club. You know.
But at the
So
same
It's
time,
not a
do
surprise to me because you're going
do
by a
we
top
rate
player.
these players? Though? Are we rating them too highly? Is that the issue? Like maybe they're just not that good.
potentially,
Like how
If
many of
you've
those
got a
players
target
that
for the
you're
summer,
talking
why wouldn't you
about?
sell him?
Yeah,
Do you know what
that's
I mean?
it.
That's my issue with it. It's like this is Chelsea. They go out and buy players. They got money. That's what they
Mhm.
do. So if you've got if you have a player that another club wants, nobody wants Christensen. Nobody wants Phil Jones. That's why they don't. That's why they can't go anywhere, right? So if you can make money from somewhere to allow you to spend on the target that you do want, sell that player because if they're not in your
Indiana.
plans, get rid of them.
Indiana, from what I've heard, it's not that Christensen's not wanted elsewhere. I heard in Germany, anyone would be willing to pick him up, and possibly in Spain as well. What I heard is the club rate him so highly, they refuse to let him go. That's with Christensen. Now with Rudiger, it's different. Rudiger, I think they're struggling to sell Rudiger. But Christensen, I've heard he's highly rated in Germany because remember we loaned him to Mönchengladbach and he had a very successful loan out there.
Great season.
He's and his game kind of suits
The
Germany.
German league, yeah.
German league, but Chelsea
Like Werner and Havertz, yeah.
they rate him so highly out there, but Chelsea they don't want to let him go because they feel maybe he could come good. But we've been waiting for him to come good for so long. He still hasn't
You
come
can
good.
just look at him and just tell he's not going to get any better. Just looking at him, just his physique, he's just.
Bro, you could look at him and he'll get injured, bro. That's how.
He doesn't get injured a lot. It's just he's a feather. Do you know
That's
what I
what I'm
mean?
saying.
Ask you Chelsea fans a question. Do you think there's the managers are sort of being forced to do things at Chelsea? Like we know what happened with like the whole Shevchenko thing, and do you feel that the club feel so strongly about certain players and playing certain systems that managers are forced into doing that at Chelsea? Like
certain players, definitely.
but I just don't
Yeah.
get how a board can force a manager to play players when. To just be serious, they don't see him. They don't see him in training. They don't know how good they are in training.
It's
They don't
easy.
know the
You're
reasons.
the one that's paying for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the guy that's
then
owning
it's
it
your job as
is
a
paying
manager.
the
But then it's your
bills.
job as a manager to come and to the board and say, "Hang on, yeah, we bought this player."
Yeah,
but to
and
be
then you lose
honest,
your job.
he's shit.
You lose your job.
Yeah,
It's
you
that
lose your
simple.
job.
Do you know what I
It's
mean?
easier. It's easier to get rid of a manager than it is to get rid of all the players that are like doing your nothing.
If you remember at Real Madrid, I think it was Ancelotti. The reason why he fell out and they ended up sacking him was because he wanted to play certain players, but the board and Adidas, their sponsor, wanted the bigger players to be playing based because of
Hope
the
love
shirt.
them.
Yeah.
So that does happen.
Money takes charge.
Money talks.
It started in 1998 with Ronaldo and Nike when he was injured, and they got him to play in the final. Like it's just it's deeper than people think. Like these things can happen. I keep saying it now. Like with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Arteta, Lampard, they can't say no. Like the whole thing is so much bigger than them because this is basically all of their first jobs, like real jobs. You can't say no to anything. So if like you like in 5 years' time, when you've done something, you might be able to turn around and say no. But right now you can't. And I think there's all been a few signings for each team where I feel like they've just been shafted. Like somebody's just ripped them off and they have to deal with it.
This
and
is
then
where
we
you-
get
this is
on
why
to
you
them,
shouldn't
innit?
be giving- This is why you shouldn't be giving managers top jobs who ain't got no experience, bro. You get me? Because this is the problem we have with the top clubs.
Yeah, but
now.
what was
Yeah, but
Frank's
then look
role?
at
That's what I'm
Mourinho, then the
asking.
players would get you out as well. So it's like you're just in that lose-lose situation half the time.
What did you say about the Pochettino thing? How PSG fans and a lot of Pochettino fans have now come out and said, "Well, he's won a trophy now."
Don't give me all that. Was he there at the start of the season?
It's like the
But he's
first,
only been there. He's only been there 3 games.
No, I'm not having this. I'm
his
not.
first
I'm not having it.
final. It's like saying David Moyes is like a champion of Man United because he's got the Community
The French
Shield.
league don't count. Just put it that way. Whatever he does in France does not count.
To make
No,
sure.
Yeah,
that's-
Ole
I
Gunnar
don't think that- I
Solskjaer
don't
right
think
now
that-
is
He did it.
Pochettino
He did it
until
in
he wins
France, but he
something
didn't
and
do
then
it
it's
in the
clear.
Premier League.
I think you guys have been a bit harsh. Do you know what it is? Yeah, the record
No.
on black and white on paper, it'll say he won a trophy. Simple as, and he won a
Why?
trophy elsewhere. The thing is, it's just. I know what you man are saying. It's just like, yeah, he didn't do it in England, whatnot. He got Tottenham to the best that they could be, and he tried, but he couldn't do much more because he never got backed. Mourinho's getting backed. We're all expecting him to win a trophy this season, bro. That's all I'm gonna say.
Beaks, you could have gone to PSG and won that trophy.
Yeah,
Bro, I'm telling you
I'm not
now,
even joking.
The Beaks could have been a champ, like
anyone
holding,
can go
lifting up a
PSG.
trophy, you know.
But I'm
Yeah,
telling you now,
it's
if
true, but-
someone goes there and doesn't win a league, then it's a bit peak. Then we won't be saying, "Oh, it's easy to win a league." There, do you get me? I'm just putting it out there, man. I just feel like Poch.
Like,
let
if we're
Poch have
being
that
honest, the whole Poch thing is everybody just laughing at Spurs.
Spurs.
Really,
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
it's not serious, is it? It's not serious. It's just
No, but
all
let's be
banter.
serious. What he done at Spurs was very good. With the bunch of players he had,
I
he just
think it's
wasn't
more than
backed.
good, bro.
That was
yeah, but let's also remember that was actually the change at Spurs started under Harry Redknapp, not.
I was going to say this. I was having this
Not as
argument.
much.
today.
I'm not having this. Ralph Hasenhüttl was doing all right, no?
Yeah,
He's doing all right.
Harry Redknapp.
The whole
Harry
Poch
had-
thing's laziness because nobody wanted Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Poch was available, and to me that's lazy. If you're going to ask for a top manager at a top club, ask for a top manager with some pedigree who's won something. Poch can go off now. If he goes and wins the Champions League with PSG, cool. That's when I'm putting him at that level.
that's why I was so jealous of
Okay,
Everton. man,
Indiana,
when
what
we
do
got
you
Ancelotti.
what do you think of managers such as my man who's at Leipzig? Do you think he's a top manager?
No,
No, I don't think he's done enough yet. I think
But
he's
would you
doing a
rate
great
him?
job.
Would you
I
rate
think
him?
he's doing a.
Playing
I'd rate him as potential. Is what I'd rate him as.
yeah, it's a potential good.
His
good
But
system's yet
you're a
to be
United
proven.
fan, right? You're a United fan, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Would you not take him at United?
Right now, no.
Be-
Well,
Be real.
why would I take
So
him at United?
you rather have Oli over than
Listen, what people forget, it's easier
Yeah,
to do it at the age, you know, because you don't have. There's no expectation on you. You have no pressure. You just come in there willy nilly. You get to do what you're doing. You're gonna get time. Boom, bam. You can work something. But in the Premiership, you don't have that time. Like
Let me
you've got
explain why.
eight top four teams.
You know, people. I remember when Sarri came, people said he ain't had no trophy and blah blah. He ended up winning them at Chelsea. Di Matteo,
Yeah,
he
but
won
he
the
had a bit
Champions
more
League in
experience, didn't he?
Chelsea. You know what I mean?
He had a bit more experience though.
He took Napoli to
That's
second.
different.
yeah, he was managing teams in Syria, in not even Syria, Serie D or whatnot, if I'm not mistaken.
The guy's a big food man. He's a granddad though, so he's got that experience.
Yeah, but he
He's a
was
banker.
but he was a banker.
No, he was a
So
banker,
if we're talking about people like Pochettino who haven't got experience or whatnot, or they don't rate him because he didn't win anything, just like Monster said, Sarri went Chelsea and won a trophy at last.
Yeah, but there's a massive difference, right? There's a
How?
huge difference. I'll explain
Did
to you.
manage-
I'll explain to you. For one, there is nothing anybody can bring to the table to me to say that Pochettino would have succeeded at Manchester United. Absolutely nothing. You can say better coach, cool. But we're not looking for coaches. We're looking for a manager. So that makes no odds to me. You want a better coach, get better coaches, right? For one. Two, it's not about being the greatest manager at Manchester United right now. It's about being able to navigate this board and these owners, and that's something that Ole has done very, very well. We've improved 44% on last season. You've got to look at
situation at Tottenham when they didn't back him. and he still managed to get them where they got to.
That's the thing. You know what? Yeah, they would have.
Yeah, but here's what I'm saying. This is the point.
Man
This
United
is what I'm getting at.
Oli something.
This is the point I'm getting to, though, Monster. I think your mic's unplugged again. But listen, I'm trying to explain that I think what would happen with Poch is he would demand things from that board they would not provide. It wouldn't be good enough for him. They would fall out like Mourinho. We had the quick fix Mourinho. We had the blueprint with LVG. I don't think a headstrong manager would work at Manchester United. I think you've kind of got to go under the radar a bit, work slowly. Do you know what I mean? Like, start from the bottom and
work from being cut off.
I think I know where he's coming from, but what I'll say to that, is just that look, Poch could have done that as well, man. That's what I'm going to say. And it's easier said than done to say, oh yeah, you got to work away from the bottom, you got to do this at United, but if Poch would have gone there and changed United,
coronavirus and fluke, man. That's why you're at the top of the league.
Why do you want Poch though? What is the reason you want Poch?
I'm not saying I want Poch.
Why would a United fan want Poch at United for what?
Because of what he did at Spurs.
What did he do at Spurs?
He did a lot. What didn't he do? Go back in. Look what he did. He brought a crop of players from with Spurs. Look what he did at Southampton. He worked his way up, bro. I mean, the evidence is there. There's a trail there.
Do you think he did the PSG job though, or do you think he was waiting for Man United? That was the only bigger club that was coming in for him at the time. Ole was doing very well, and he thought, "Take my chips on it, and at least I'll get Champions League." And
no, I think a few teams wanted Poch, but I just think, he just wanted something really, really big right now. And
look at
it was
a year ago.
So,
wow, because he was coming out in the press, wasn't he, saying about certain things that kind of elevating that he might want to go to Man United. Not actually saying it, but making it seem like that. I think it's good publicity and making. I think Man United, the board at Man United, love that. You know what I mean?
There's a reason they employ Neil Ashton from the Sun. There's a reason why they employ him.
Man United, Oli's a cockroach, man. You can't get rid of him. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't.
That's saying something, isn't it? Maybe he's not as bad as people think he is. I mean, he's doing very well at the moment.
He's not that bad.
Do you know what I think it is? I think he's definitely overachieving. But the reason I wouldn't move him right now is because we're having the best transfer windows with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. If he finished top 4, it's the first time it will be done back to back since Fergie. As long as we're moving forwards, how can I ask a manager to be sacked? As long as I'm seeing progress, because what would be the difference right now if a Mourinho came in? Because you can't turn around and tell me he likes all of those players. We already know he wanted to sell Anthony Martial.
Yeah, but Indiana, what happens if he's played really well up to now? He's the first, right? Let's say your next 8 to 10 games, you win 3, lose 4, draw 1. Then what happens? Because then you're going to have a lot of the Oli hours coming out again saying,
"Do we still finish top 4, Jim?
But then you said,
"Do we still finish top 4?
It's quick to forget what he's done.
In this theory, do we still finish top 4, Jim?
Yeah.
Do we? I'm asking you. In your.
Can you finish top 4?
No. Would we? Are you saying that we still finish top 4 because that's the difference? Because as long as that Champions League money comes in, the manager stays.
In terms of Man United as a club, I'm not talking about what because you've got to depend. It depends on what all the other clubs do if they win, lose, and whatever. I'm just talking about Man United's form. If that was the case, would you want him out? Even though he's done what he's done up to now and got you to where you were.
Do we finish top 4?
I don't know. Do we finish 5th between 4th and 5th? Yeah.
There's more factors, right? So there's more factors for me. It's more like how far off a top 4 do we finish? Do we still get a good transfer window under Ole? Do we still build? That's massive for me because I don't want us dipping. I don't want us bringing in a new manager. Like remember, we haven't got a first 11 built. We haven't had a first 11 built since Fergie. No manager has been allowed to do this. This is what happened. This is what happened with Arsenal. Arsenal got the same thing. They haven't been able to stick with a manager and recruit properly under one manager to build what they need to build. We still need to buy first team players. We don't have a right winger. We haven't got a great centre back partnership. We don't have good defensive midfielders. Like apart from Cavani, we don't have a striker, a natural striker.
We spent 85 million on Maguire, bro.
I don't care what we spent. I don't care.
But you just said you want people. You just said you wanted United to spend, bro.
No. Spend in the right places. I don't care how much
we needed a centre back, and United ended up spending 85 million on
and
Maguire.
we improved by over 30% after buying him. So that's cool. As long as we're moving forwards, I'm good. That's what I'm saying to you. Like I'm here. I want to see Manchester United at the top for a period of time.
I hear that.
This whole notion of let's go get Poch and win a trophy is bullshit. Because I don't. That doesn't mean shit to me. That doesn't ask any Arsenal fan if they could have not won that FA Cup, but actually be on the way back up, be in the top 4 right now, and have Champions League football this season, next season even. They wouldn't have the FA Cup. Winning a trophy is fuck all at a big. What you'd rather be finishing in 8th and 7th.
Because
FA Cup.
No, if we rewind it years, everybody laughed at us for Wenger saying top 4 is like a trophy. Everybody was bantering us hard, and now everybody's trying to run it back. Nobody cares about top 4.
That's not what I'm saying.
I know, but I'm saying
we were Chelsea, Man United. We were
but
competing for the titles.
If you're having an argument about trophies and people want to know what you've got, nobody's going to remember top 4. They're only going to remember what is down on paper as trophies. So that's all I care about.
No, let me tell you what I always remember. What did I say about Poch?
What did I say about
trophies?
Yeah, but always remember you won the FA Cup. It papered over the cracks, and you finished 8th.
Yeah,
but that's what I'll always remember. You weren't good enough
Indiana,
for the Premier League.
No one remember the cracks if you won a trophy.
I will.
Financial ramification on clubs. It's £100 million every year.
Yeah.
Listen, fans might necessarily say, it's trophies. We care about trophies and history and blah blah. Bruv, clubs care about money. Do you know what I mean?
If they really cared, then they wouldn't have Mikel Arteta in charge, and they would be spending proper money. They don't care. It's not really. It's as long as they're in a profit. That's all that matters. It's not about having millions of profit.
Big Gunner. Hey, can I ask you a quick question?
If that was the case, why would you have Arteta in charge if you really want to make money?
Let me ask you a question. Right?
Unfortunately, right now you can't compete with the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, Man United. You just can't compete with them. Do you get what I mean?
Can I just ask him a question? 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Sorry, bro. Obviously, you finished 8th and got in the FA Cup. If this season you finish 10th and you win the Europa Cup, is that a good season for you? Do you think that's progression for Arsenal?
You've won a trophy.
Arteta, not Arsenal.
It's not progression, but you've won a trophy. And I keep going back to this. In 10 years or whatever, and you've got kids or whatever, and you're talking about trophies, are you going to say, "Oh yeah, but we got into the Champions League"?
That's not how.
I know, but the history books don't tell you about top 4. That's not the history book. They don't tell you that.
I know what I'm
That's what he's saying as well.
For your club, you lot keep talking about 21 and all of this. It's the trophy. You're not talking about Champions League.
Yeah, but they finished
the trophy.
Finishing
wanted to
No,
end it
what I'm
off.
saying is it's about
but
trophy.
let's be honest.
That's what it was about.
But there's levels to these trophies as well, and it's what comes off of these league positions where you finish. I agree with Monster. Like if you finish top 4, you get that 100 million. You're in the Champions League. You're more attractive to big players. It makes a massive difference. Of course it does. What do you mean? It doesn't mean nothing. It means a lot because you can buy these big players. The next season you can progress even further.
That's for the clubs. That's not for the fans. That's for the clubs. The fans want trophies.
Did Tottenham get the Champions League?
As a fan, I would.
It hasn't brought nothing. It hasn't brought nothing. They're in the same position. It doesn't mean nothing. It's trophies at the end of the day. It's trophies.
What does Daniel want? What does
You might be
Daniel
right
Levy
about that, Big Gunner, and I do agree. The fact that trophies do show something in history when you go around the museums and the tours, when you see trophies.
Yeah,
the
we won that trophy, but we finished 10th that season.
Everybody was bantering Wenger about top 4 talk, and now this is what everybody's going after. So at the end of the day, it was all silly. But,
Yeah, but he was winning FA Cups. That's different. If you're
all
finishing
I
top 4
care
and winning
about,
FA Cups, that's
all
different.
I care about is trophies. At the end of the day, I don't care what trophy it is.
Bruv. You're meant to be
He was
fighting
bantering.
for
He
top
was
4 with the other 6. I don't get
He was
that.
bantering.
Why,
It was Chelsea,
why
Man
have you
United,
standards
Man
dropped
City,
as a
right?
club?
We were competing for titles. So winning getting in top 4 at the time, it's not good enough for us.
Nah, G,
We're
I hear
competing
you.
for
That's
Premier
what.
League, Champions Leagues. That's what we were doing.
It's called a winning mentality. That's what it is.
Monster.
That's
If
the
Lampard
thing.
finishes, if
You want to see your
Lampard
team
finishes,
compete.
monster. If Lampard finishes 6th and we win the FA Cup, is he staying?
No,
is that
he's
good enough
getting
for Chelsea?
sacked.
So then why is our levels different to theirs? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Because you've got the
Why
money.
do we look at it?
You've got the money to do it. If
There you
everybody
go, then.
if everybody was on the same level playing fields and everybody had the money just to be sacking managers and doing all that willy nilly, everybody would be doing it. But they can't. They can't do it. And
Yeah,
that's
but
the
if you
fact.
start finishing, if you get a couple of
Look how
seasons in
much
top
it
4,
cost
you can buy
Mourinho.
those players.
Look how much it cost you guys to get rid of Mourinho. Can any other club do that? Really?
Necessarily. But that's why Champions League is important. That's why Champions
It is important. It is.
more important.
It generates
than the
income as well.
There's no money in an FA Cup.
It's
I
important.
think you guys are
At the same time,
I don't think Gunner's not saying. Gunner knows that if you get top 4, cool, you get
yeah,
you money.
I know what it means. But at the same time,
That's for the club. What Gunner's saying is that we as fans. Like, if I tell you to name me the top 4 in 2000, you're not going to be able to tell me the top 4 in 2000 because no one cares about that. If I told you who won the league, well, if I told you who won the league in 2000, you will know who won the league in 2000. So the difference is, as a fan, you're going to remember the trophies.
I know what you're saying.
Finish it off for us here, mate.
I know what you're saying in terms of history and things like that. I get that. At the end of the day, trophies do matter. But in today's game, because the game has changed, nowadays clubs are just looking to balance the books, turn profits. Do you know what I mean? So
It's always been like that, though. It's just that we're in a society that social media is highlighting that.
Champions League money has never been as much as it is now.
No, I hear that. It's still money though, and they've been focusing on that for years. It's just that it's just being highlighted now. It's just being highlighted now because of social media.
Liverpool, Klopp, they don't even care about the smaller cup games anymore. What is important?
Yeah, of course, because they're trying to win the league.
Exactly.
No, but they're not thinking about Champions League. They're thinking about winning the league.
On that note, everybody, let's just finish it off now because we could go on forever on this, couldn't we? We are going around in circles.
We'll get back to it, I'm sure.
We will get. But before we finish off, shout out your predictions of the Liverpool versus United game this weekend. What do you think the score will be? Starting with Charlotte first, and shout out your social medias as well when you do it.
I think it could be 2-1, and I think maybe Man U could take it.
Well done, Charlotte.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Charles_strong.
Brilliant. Thank you, Charles. Big Gunner.
I'm going 6-1 Liverpool.
Oh, that's brave. That's brave.
Against everything you said tonight.
I'm going 3-0 either way. Like, it's got to be 3-0 to someone. I just don't know who. I'm going 3-0 either way.
Okay. Where can we find you, Big Gunner?
Big Gunner on YouTube and the Away Day Show on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks for having me on again, mate.
Thank you, Big Gunner. And Monster, once again, back again. What do you think the score will be?
For some reason, I think Man United might take this one, innit? If they play it smart with that, because of that Liverpool high line, they can really exploit that. I would say 2-1, but they got to be really smart. Just play the way they normally play.
Where can we find Monster?
Star CFC everywhere.
We know where that is, mate. We know where that is. Pete, where are you at, mate? What are you thinking of the score? What's it going to be? And where can we find you?
Yeah, just to echo what Monster said, United got to play it smart, man. I won't be surprised to see Dan James and them man playing, bro. I'm gonna be a cunt, innit? I'm gonna say 1-0 92nd minute penalty. United, bro. Bruno Fernandes, let's get it. Catch me on the socials at Beats Corner, Instagram, Twitter, and make sure you subscribe to Beats Corner as well. You see the orange thing, yeah. You know how it is. Yeah, love for having me on, man.
Cheers for coming on, Beaks. Dem as well. What are you making of the prediction of the score, and where can we find you, mate? DNA TV.
I think this is the type of game where Liverpool will bounce back. I think they've got too much quality. I mean, look, Man United are on form. Don't get me wrong, and they can definitely give them a problem. But I just think it's this type of game that Liverpool could potentially win. So I'm going to say 3-1 Liverpool. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter, CFC_Gem, and then on YouTube, GNA TV.
Last but not least, United fan, big fan, Indiana. What are you making of this?
I was fairly confident of getting a result until I heard Monster's prediction, and nothing he's predicted this season has come good. So,
no.
Listen, Liverpool are the greatest side in history. They are the champions. They've got the greatest manager ever. Man United should not be winning this game. The pressure's on Liverpool in it, so it wouldn't surprise me either way if it was a 2-1 game. Wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, let's see what happens on that one.
Cool, man. Where can we find you as well, man? Shout out.
You can find me at firstxi_TV on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me on the First XI YouTube channel, where we've got a load of shows going on, loads of things, loads of people involved in it. And on the Football Terrace. And make sure you subscribe to everybody. If anybody's watching this back, go and subscribe to all these channels. There's some great content going on.
Thank you very much, everybody, for coming on. Just open mic, anything goes. Just unfortunately, the time goes as well, doesn't it? So we can't keep a hold of that. But thank you, everybody, for coming on. And please, like Indiana said, go check out Monster CFC, GNA TV, Beats Corner, Charlotte's new channel, show every Thursday, and First 11 from Indiana. We are Football United TV, and take care, everyone. Goodbye.